Hello. Alright, so today I'm doing my first book review, and it is going to be on Vicious by Victoria Schwab. I have my lovely bookshelf right behind me. Oh my god, I love it. I love books. Okay, I just love books. Alright, so moving on. So this is Vicious by Victoria Schwab. For those who have not read it yet, I recommend it. It's a really good book. I mean, yeah, it has kind of this A-B story kind of plot going on. One from like 10 years ago and the other from present day, and they intertwine. Just lovely. And the characters are great. I think almost every character gets their own like backstory. Like there was like no little side characters. Well, unless you want to count that one guy. I could think of maybe one guy that's kind of like a side character. You don't really get into his head. But like, you know, I just love this book. And it's great. If you want like a quick pitch, it's like EOs. They have these things in this world. They have EOs, which are extraordinary people. And these people, EOs have like superpowers kind of type thing. Like they could like lift a car or walk through fire unharmed, or have the ability to control one's pain, or extreme self-healing, stuff like that. And these two main characters, Eli and Victor, kind of get intertwined with them, and kind of like a frenemies, extreme frenemies, kind of have a hero and villain kind of dissect a little bit what it means to be a villain, and it's a great book. I thought it was great. I love Victoria Schwab. I recommend all her books if this is the only one you have read. I just love the cover. It's a great cover, and I love it. But I recommend her books if you haven't read them. My personal favorite is the Savage Songs duology that she has. And quick pitch on that, it's a world where if you create like if you beat someone up, your negative actions will create a legit monster that will attack and kill other people. So don't be mean, because if you murder someone, you get a vampire like thing, and if you beat someone up, you get like a shadow monster. And if you do something really, really terrible, you get a soul-sucking monster. Although that's a very unfair description, poor August. But it's a really good book. She has the most interesting ideas, and she's so smart whenever she writes, Victoria. And I recommend her books if you have not read it. So I'm going to be moving on to the more spoilery section, and if you do not want spoilers, leave now. Recommend this book. It's a great book, and Victoria's awesome. But if you have read this book or you don't care about spoilers, then stay tuned. So bye, people that do not want spoilers. Yeah, you have been warned. Alright. Moving on. The dog died twice. I mean, it got resurrected twice, but still. I mean, you don't want a dead dog in your book, but that's a small thing. I did really enjoy this book. Team Victor was awesome. I loved like how they had two separate teams. Eli with his team of, I'm gonna be calling Sydney's older sister Sierra, because I don't really know how to pronounce it. I suck at pronouncing things, so if I'm wrong, sorry. But I'm gonna be calling her Sierra. Anyway, I liked Team Eli and like Team Victor, and you had like that clash you had on Team Eli. You had Eli, Sierra, and then you had the two deputies. And then on like kind of the whole police department. And then on Victor, you had Victor, Mitch, Sydney, and Dole. Dole is the dog, for those who decide to keep watching this video even though they haven't read the book. And I like Dole's name. Like, Dole is apparently like actually a measurement of pain, and whenever they found Dole, he was half dead on the side of the road, and then Victor shot him out of a sign of mercy, and then Sydney resurrected him perfectly fine, and then he died later. But yeah, but you know, he was resurrected again. You know, poor dog. I love dogs. Okay, I love all animals. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, I did like all the characters. Sydney's power is a little over the top. I don't know if Sydney's power was exactly the smartest idea, because, you know, no one can die now. No one's permanently dead unless you, like, burn the body, which I guess is. But, like, Sydney hasn't really, like, if she had all the ashes, could she resurrect a burned body? Because she, like, restores, like, all their injuries from when they die. I mean, if you destroy the body, I think you wouldn't be able to resurrect it. It's just a question I had. But, yeah. The two sisters, Sydney and Sierra, were both a bit overpowered, with Sierra literally being able to control everyone she talked to, and Sydney, you know, being able to resurrect the dead. I think that Victor's and Eli's powers were way more interesting, just because they're so simple, and they seem really simple and limited when we look at them. But if you, like, take a step closer, I love this about Victoria Schwab, is that she'll just take a step closer and dissect something, and it will be way more interesting than what it could have originally been. One of the things I liked most about Victor's power is just, like, this tiny little section where he's, like, he can make himself, like, invisible using his power. Victor's power is the power to, like, control someone's pain. So, you know, he could, like, take someone's pain away from them if they're, like, you know, like, really harmed or, like, in a lot of pain. Well, you know, even if they're not in a lot of pain, he could just take that away from them, and he can also give people a lot of pain and have, you know, grown men, you know, freaking out on the floor because, you know, they're feeling the worst pain ever, which is kind of scary. But I did really like, you know, like, little details where, like, Victor would be able to, like, walk invisible through a street, because he would give everyone, like, little bit of, like, pain, just where it's, like, enough to be uncomfortable but not noticeable, so they'd be focused on their pain inside them rather than the vigilante just walking straight by them. I thought that was really interesting. I love it when Victoria Schwab just comes up with, like, things like that, and I did like the little detail of Dole's name. Another character I really liked was Mitch. Mitch was on Team Victor, and he was, like, this big thug guy. He had, you know, like, tattoos all on his neck, and he got picked up on the police a lot, just not because he was doing anything, just because he looked like the type that would be doing something. I loved his backstory of why he was in jail in the first place, is that he was picked up enough just for, you know, doing nothing, just because he looked big. So he decided that he would actually commit a crime, and he robbed a bank. And Mitch is a hacker, so he's, like, really, like, smart on the inside, and he's also, you know, a big burly guy, so he could also be a fighter. He was a street fighter at one point, just because it's easy and that's what people expect him to do. But I did like so he hacked into, like, the bank's, like, main feeds, like, you know, like, cut out, like, the stuff, opened the vault, like, remotely type of thing, and he made a few friends in prison, and he was, and 3 of them robbed the bank from the inside. But in the trial, he was accused of robbing the bank by himself while the 3 guys hacked into the bank, and I just thought that was funny, because, you know, because of his size. And I just thought, I don't know, I felt felt really bad for Mitch. Oh gosh, Mitch, and I like little character details. Like I like that he loved chocolate milk, and I like that Victor had a tendency to like mark out. Like his parents would write self-help books, and he would take a Sharpie and just mark out all the words, and then turn them into like ironic statements. And I love that. And how he always had his fingertips black from marking out things, and he just loved the smell of Sharpie because it's a way for him to manage his anger. And Victor did that. And I like that Sydney, would mimic everything her sister did because she just wants to be like her older sister, Sierra. So she would sit the same way. She would, she had her hair, she cut her hair short, not because it was like her sister's, but because her sister wanted to be different from her. And it was like, something that would mark them as two separate people. And I like that each of those characters had their own detail of their own thing. And Eli, why he had a fascination with guns and like I don't know. I like little details like that. My one complaint about the book was the ending. Just because it was like a little redundant at some points, because Mitch got cornered by Eli in the bathroom, and then Eli shot him. And then the chapter ended, and you see like Eli walking out of the bathroom. The bathroom is all marked out with out of order, and then like you're like, oh no, Mitch is dead. And you walk in, and there's blood everywhere. And then he was wearing a bulletproof vest, and you're like, yay. And then another time, it was like, and then he put the gun to his head, and he pulled the trigger because Sierra was mind influencing him. She was like, put the gun against your head and pull the trigger. And then the chapter ends, and you're like, oh no! And then the next chapter, it's like, and the gun was empty. And you're just like, same character, twice in a row. And then the dog got shot. And you're like, not the dog. And then Sydney's like, I'll just resurrect the dog. And you're like, okay. Because it was like really dramatic when she was resurrecting the dog. It was like she couldn't grab the life forms to bring her back. And I'm like, oh no, Sydney can only bring a person back once. That's the limitation of her power. And no, she brought the dog back. And you're just like, okay. And then, but what I did like is that, I don't even know if I could find it. I did like it whenever he, I don't know if I could find it. Oh well. But I did like it whenever like Eli was like having, it's like a lot of this. It's like, goodbye, Victor, he said, and he drove the knife in, and then page break, and you're like, it's great. Dominic was interesting. He was another EO, and he had the power to kind of shadow walk. So it was like teleportation, but you had to like physically walk from place to place. But like, to the average eye, it would be like he's teleporting, but he's actually like walking in the shadows, and it would magically take him from place to place. I thought Dominic was great. He was a very simple character, just, oh my gosh. Where is it? Oh my gosh, I loved it whenever Eli was like, I'm a hero, and then he was surrounded by all the cops, and then Serena was already dead and her body was burned, so Sydney couldn't resurrect her, and it was and all the cops were no longer under Sydney's control, and that's not a moth in my house. I thought there was a moth in my house. It's on the window, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I'm a hero, and then they're dragging him away, and then it says, but as the blade hit the floor, the cops rushed forward and slammed him to the ground. You could see Victor's dead face from there. It still seemed to be smiling at him. Eli Everett, you're under arrest for the murder of Victor Vale. Wait, he shouted as they cussed him, the body. You have to burn the body. You have to burn Vale's body. Oh my gosh, I love that. So yeah, Victor and Eli kind of get stuck in this, like, at the end they kind of get in this murderous torture type thing, and there's like blood everywhere. Most of it's Eli's because, self-healing, so he would just, bleed and then also not die. And then he eventually killed Victor, and I just liked it how, the cops were dragging him away, and you just know that Sydney's gonna bring him back. And then the last chapter is them getting Victor back, and I like that. And I'm really excited to see what the next book is going to be exactly about, because Eli is still alive, and Sierra's dead. Dominic's still alive. Well, Dominic wasn't in trouble. As long as he didn't have to, as long as Victor took away his pain, he was gonna help him out. But it was a pretty good book overall. I did like the two, stories of 10 years ago and now, going back and forth, and intertwining. Yes. Another thing was Angie. Her death. She died whenever she was helping out Victor become an EO. Because the way you become an EO is through trauma. Like, if you have a near-death experience and you survive, extreme near-death experience and you survive, the adrenaline will trigger your supernatural ability. But, yeah, Angie died. She was helping out Victor become an EO, and Victor came back and became an EO, but he didn't know how to control his power. His power was the dial, the turning of the dial to control one's pain level, and he just kind of, she died from the worst pain that she could have felt, which was sad. And then, Victor's, running back to Eli, Victor was, in this, chemistry lab over here, and he's, running over to Eli in their apartment that's, right here, and he's, calling Eli, and then Eli doesn't care about his girlfriend at all, and I'm like, she just died, man. And, her character wasn't in the book. Angie, did I say her name was Angie? Well, her name was Angie, and she wasn't in the book a lot, and I was like, oh, she's dead now. I didn't really feel anything for any of these deaths in the book. Probably the most, Eli did send Victor to jail because he accused him of Angie's murder, which technically did murder Angie. So that, her death wasn't completely meaningless. It did drive the plot along a little bit longer, and Victor was able to meet Mitch. But all the deaths in this book, they were kind of meaningless just because, Sydney could resurrect them. As long as Sydney didn't die, no one could die. And Sydney never really came close to dying, except that one time where she was with her sister. Oh my gosh, that was so scary. In one chapter, it's Sydney's burning the pages, and Joel goes out on the terrace, the little porch patio of whatever it's called, in a hotel room, and Sierra's like in a different room, and she's like a view, like a outdoor patio up here. She sees the dog go out and like the smoke coming out, and then she sees her sister come in and get the dog and bring the dog back in, and then she just like she counts. And she's like, okay, I know what room my sister is in, and then she goes to her sister, and she's like, have a walk with me. And then she tells the dog to stay with her sister because her sister wants the dog with them. And it's so tense, and she's like pointing a gun at her sister's head. And I know she didn't kill her sister, but Serena really does deserve the worst sister award, honestly. I have a little sister, and that made me mad. My little sister is annoying. Pretty annoying. Most of the time annoying. But I would never point at my sister's head. Especially, like, I was, they were, like, so close in this book. And Sydney only wants to be, like, with, just like Sierra. It's, like, unconditional love constantly. And that hurt. That scene hurt. It was really tense. And yes, she ends up, like, letting her go. And she's like, go somewhere safe. And oh my gosh, that was such a dumb move on Sierra too, because it's like, go somewhere safe. Well, where's your sister gonna go? Like, you both know that you guys hate it at your house, and I don't really think that you consider the apartment room safe anymore because, it was just compromised like a few minutes ago. And she goes to Victor, obviously, because Victor is the one that's been protecting Sydney for this time. And it was great. But, I didn't like that scene, but at the same time, I guess I wasn't supposed to like it. So, good job, Victoria Schwab. I hated one of your characters, and I think I should have hated, you wanted us to hate her. But yeah, at the same time, be slightly sympathetic towards her. So, mission accomplished. I hated her. Because they're like, when you come back as an EO, you're less than human. There's a piece missing. And I'm like, stop, don't kill each other. Put the guns down. But, yeah. When Eli killed that metal girl with the blue hair, that kind of a little hurt. He was just stalking her. And she wasn't doing anything wrong. All she was less than human. There was a piece of her missing. She was an empty shell. I did like that Eli was like motivated by, I didn't really like it because I'm a Christian myself, but at the same time, there are people out there that are like motivated by Christian, faith, and then they're believing that they're chosen by God to rid the world of impurity. And I thought that was done pretty well though in this book. The near-death experiences that Eli and Victor went through to become EOs were awful, but they're supposed to be awful. They just got drunk. That was stupid. Like, trying to become an EO from an overdose, that was stupid. I had to kill those poor people. Eli killed his teacher that helped him with his EO research because no one's supposed to know, and also killed the janitor that happened to bump into on the day where he killed his teacher. And that poor janitor probably had a wife and family. I think it was actually mentioned that they did have one. Oh. Anyway, did like this book. That one deputy, I don't remember what his name was, didn't exactly do much. I did like when Victor gave him the note, and it had a little kid scribble of like a vague a vague image of a man, and then like a little girl holding hands, and the little girl had like a bullet wound where like Eli shot her right on the arm, and then Victor had his bullet wounds. I thought that was cute. That was cute. I mean, I just laughed when I read that. I was like, oh my gosh, I love cat and mouse games, and this was a cat and mouse game. It was a great book. 4 out of 10 stars. No, that's not how that works. That's a terrible rating. How I'm at 4 out of 5 stars. Yes, much better rating. Yeah, I'm gonna be reading the next book. I'm mostly planning on reading A Darker Shade of Magic, which I'm also really excited about. I do really recommend the Savage Songs series, Duology. It was really good. Oh my gosh, I love the characters. August. Yeah. And then the Archived was really good, Wesley. I just like all the guy characters. But I'm a teenage girl. I'm allowed to like fangirl over guy characters. Totally laugh at my little Harry Potter friend shirt. Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys liked this review. Kind of rambled on for a little bit. But it was great. It was a good book. I liked it. I'm gonna have to review one of the Percy Jackson books just because I love Rick Riordan and Percy Jackson. I have a few behind me. They're just right here. Yeah. I'm gonna end your misery by ending this video. So, if I ever do get an audience, there's my first book review. Bye.